Welcome to the Intercourse Show. I'm your host, Mr. B. Today we have a very exciting show for you. We are discussing the Jay-Z GQ interview. Apparently, this interview is causing a lot of buzz around the town. It's the talk of the town. I don't know what Jay-Z broke his silence on. He generally doesn't do interviews, but this one's definitely catching the attention of the internet. So let's jump into it and see, how the interview went.
It was like heartbroken.
Really? It's been a long time since you sat down for one of these.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
What have you been up to?
Wow, everything, a lot. Most people go through their things, very privately.
You took it on tour.
Live every night. It was so healing. I'm fucking Jay-Z. Respectfully.
Or
Like, for what? To what end?
how would you rate your 2025? Like, looking back on the last year.
It was hard, really hard. I was like heartbroken.
Really?
Yeah, I'm glad we got right to that, so we could just get that out the way.
Okay.
Like, I was really heartbroken by like everything that occurred,
Mm-hmm.
with all like, we in a space now where it's just like, almost like consequence is not thought about enough. So everything is so instant. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like that whole Busby,
This civil lawsuit that was dropped, dismissed.
that shit took a lot out of me. I was angry. I haven't been that angry in a long time. Uncontrollable anger. Like, you don't put that on someone. Like, that's the thing that you better be super sure. It used to be like that. Like, you have to be super sure before you put those kind of things on a person.
Mm-hmm.
Especially a person like me. Like, even when we were doing the worst things, we were doing bad, we had those kind of rules. There was a line, no women, no kids. You hear those sayings, but those are things that I took from the street. Morals, integrity,
Code.
those things I took because we lived and died by that. So it's strict for me. Like, it meant a lot to me. I took that really hard. And I knew that we was gonna walk through that.
Mm-hmm.
We was gonna walk through that. Because, first of all, it's not true. And the truth is, at the end of the day, it still reigns supreme.
When you're feeling these feelings, how do you then bounce back and get back to being Jay-Z?
I don't know. This is the first thing I'm doing.
Yeah.
Actually. It was just like, all right, man, we played enough defense. 2026 is all offense.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that opens up a world of possibilities. With Venture X, you earn unlimited.
When we first dropped Reasonable Doubt, we sold 34,000 records. We were in like at MTV, like, give us a performance in the last slot.
Yeah.
And they were like, what? You don't even have a video that we played. They ain't say these words, but you know what I'm saying. The energy was like, you're new.
Yeah.
Like, you haven't proven yourself. But in our mind, the fact that we released an album was proof enough of concept. We did it. That was hard then. We remember, we're not in control of distribution, marketing, anything. We're going like a street level, street team approach to this. And so when we put the album out, that was the win.
Yeah.
And we had some success. And remember, on the streets, we were platinum. Anywhere you was going to go, you was going to hear Reasonable Doubt.
Did you feel that way at the time though?
No, at the time I wanted a deal.
Were you
so I went to
dejected
every single
almost?
label. Huh?
Did you feel like dejected or?
I wasn't. Yes, I was rejected, not dejected.
Okay.
And you know what I mean? Like, every door was, but I always believed in myself.
Yeah.
It wasn't a moment that I thought I'm not good enough for this industry.
Mm-hmm.
At every rejection, I thought, why do they have this guy in place? He doesn't know what's going on.
Like, they're slacking.
They're
not seeing the vision. When you look back at that time, are there things that you're glad that you didn't know?
Yeah, of course. It's almost like if you're in the room and you go through this room and you get to the end and you open the door and you're like, wow. And then you turn back and he turned the lights off and it was like pits and snakes. Your naive nature just naturally navigated you through the dark. And that's made up for the things that we didn't know. And it helps because you can learn something so much that you just tap out. I think that happens a lot in the music business. Like people get in the music business for the right reasons and they're very passionate about it, but then it becomes Monday.
It reminds me of an old Kanye quote of something he said about you when he said, with Jay, you always see the win.
Mhm.
What do you think he meant by that?
I think that showed the entire picture
Mm-hmm.
from You Must Love Me to Regrets to, you know, Soon You Understand. But the wins are so big that I can see where that can dominate a person's memory. You forget the losses.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or the perception.
or that becomes the perception that it's
Right.
only wins. And then I do say I will not lose. So
Well, I
I
was
could
gonna s-
add to the perception as well.
I was going to say you also are really good at kind of like, you have a discipline of almost like shrugging off any kind of perception of a loss. Like,
Yeah.
what's the next go 0 for 82? I'll look at you like it's gravy. Like, you know?
Yeah, because it's all wins. If I had 0.1 of the nets, I won.
Or
it's like I had ownership in a basketball team in Brooklyn.
is that something you continue to apply? Like,
Yeah.
when, God forbid, something goes wrong,
Yeah.
don't freak out. We can.
It's not even God forbid when something goes wrong. Something goes wrong. Everything in life happens for your greatest good.
Mhm.
Everything. I had to not get a deal in order to become who I am today.
Mhm.
It didn't feel like the greatest blessing of all. It was the greatest blessing that I didn't get a deal. Right. So again, everything in your life, it's not happening to you, it's happening for you.
When you
Don't
push-
skip over that.
Yeah.
It's not happening to you, it's happening for you.
So
You just got to know the distinction. Everything is just how you relate to it. There's no good or bad. Shit happens. It's life.
when did you reach that acceptance of that concept though?
I read a lot of books earlier, Seed of the Soul, Celestine Prophecies, and all these different books. And I was picking up all these gems and jewels on the way. But I was also 26 when I came in, and I lived a lot of life
Yeah.
in those 26 years. Marcy to Trenton, New Jersey, to Cambridge, Maryland, to Newport News, Virginia. I met all sorts of people, been in all sorts of situations.
Mm-hmm.
And I came out without a scratch. Never been to jail.
3 shots never touched me.
3 shots never touched me. I came out unscathed. It's very rare. And I was always curious after that. Once you reach that part, like I've had the living, and now I'm like, man, why did that happen? I'm always questioning, like, why did that happen? Why did it happen that way?
I want to ask you just a little bit about a written testimony specifically, just because that was the most recent release. I think it came out like right before the pandemic started. So
Yeah,
you guys
like
didn't
the
talk about
day.
that much. The day.
Yeah. My favorite verse is off that just jumbled track. I love that track. It's so noisy and just so unorthodox. Flux capacitor.
You know what's funny about that? So I don't know if you remember this. You and I were emailing about that because I wrote about that album and I said this verse is crazy even if it's offbeat.
Yeah.
And you said that being offbeat was the point, champ. And I was like, well, what can I say to that?
Yeah. Sometimes you need to sit in the pocket. 'Cause my pocket is always, it's like with a foot over the thing anyway. It's always hanging to the last moment. And it's like, because sometimes I try to fit a lot of words into like a small space. Then that last word just like get in the door.
Sticking with a written testimony, you have a couple of verses on there that I really like because they kind of speak to what's going on with you in a broader sense in the culture, like on Universal Soldier. I think it is when you said that you don't keep the same energy for the DuPonts and the Carnegies.
Yeah.
So I wanted you to talk a little bit about this idea of like you said earlier, like the things that you do for the culture, the ways that you put on, the ways that you try to protect and move forward, but kind of the pushback that you get sometimes about like people throw capitalists at you in a derogatory sense.
Yeah, I think in that verse specifically, the only thing I heard coming up was the American dream until we started being successful. And it was like, wait a minute, you're selling out because you're making money. That was the first thing that was put on musicians. People had this law for the struggling artist. That's a mind game, what we would call back in the day for tricknology. It was like, no, I'm not going for that. Like, no, I make art first. And then I make sure that I'm compensated for my art. I didn't take advantage. I didn't get here by taking advantage of people. I didn't take it. No one. That's not my reputation. That's not what I do. I didn't get here by taking advantage of people or taking advantage of, the loopholes in the system or some wrinkle in like a capitalist structure. That structure exists, and I just see the world for what it is, not for what I want it to be. I'm a realist, not an ideal. It's not idealistic. People speak about the world how they want to see it. You're never going to win like that.
You said something just now, though, about you pushing independence, right? Kind of like in the spirit of Prince. When you embody that, do you feel like you are kind of setting a mold or leading a charge for like what the successful Black man is allowed to do, and like breaking these spaces, breaking these confines?
Yeah. I even want you to take that out of your vocabulary.
Take what?
Allowed. You know what I'm saying? We're not allowed to do anything. In order for someone to allow you, they have to have authority over you.
Mm-hmm.
No one has authority over us. We exist like everyone else here. No one can allow us to do anything. But that word comes from a real space.
Jay-Z's dropping some gems right now. I mean, say what you want to say. This dude's an intellect. It's true. Sometimes the way we talk about things from such a programmed way of thinking, where you have to ask yourself the question, why would I say it like that? Like, are you allowed as a Black man to be this way or that way? And it's true. Somebody has to allow you. Why? Assuming someone has authority over you. And if you come from a slave mindset, you had to get permission to just be, right? Because you were the property of somebody. And I think that's a major, major point to raise, because I think subconsciously we don't even realize that we think like that in our speech and our day-to-day. I'm actually reading a book, and in the book, the man says to sit with yourself and meditate. When you wake up early in the morning and you start your routine, he says, before you get anything, your social media, your phone, the television, music, he says, sit in quiet and just close your eyes and listen in to what your mind is telling you. And a lot of times you'll hear the chaos in your mind, and it just goes off. And then if you're observing what's happening in your mind, then you'll start to realize, like, where did that thought come from? Like, why does my mind think this? You know what I mean? Like, at some point when you remove yourself from the conversation that's happening in your head, you'll start to realize, like, this isn't even me. Like, these are things I picked up along the way that's framing a thought pattern. It's framing a perception of myself that I may not even identify with. And it's so interesting. The kid said it in passing. Are you allowed to think like this or to think like that? And he's like, you gotta check it, because to be allowed means you are under authority. That's crazy. So that's a gem right there.
And I want to eliminate all those type of words for us.
Yeah.
Yes. So the answer to that is yes.
When you're on a mission to eliminate words like allow, like you said, do you feel like that makes you a target sometimes from?
Oh yeah, for sure. 100%. What's the Nipsey thing? Pray for me, y'all. One day I'm gonna have to pay for these thoughts. Real niggas is extinct. It ain't safe for me, my dog. These are real fucking lyrics.
You've come back to that a lot in the last few years. Like, the more I reveal me, the more they will kill me. Stuff like that. When you say they, like, who is that?
Whatever the threat to, however the system is set up to keep things at status quo, and keep us in a position of using words like allow. So anyone that's culpable in creating the system that we operate under, that's they.
Yeah.
That's they. And it actually goes beyond color.
Yeah.
Because I've encountered that a lot. Where it was just like, okay, this successful Black man make it. Let me go to him.
Yeah.
And for help. And they're like, We don't fuck with no rap shit.
Oh wow.
Not like out like that, but
Yeah,
you know,
that's the energy.
like the
Yeah.
energy. It's like you see the energy,
Yeah.
you know?
I was thinking about how you described last year as being angry and for the first time in a while. And
Yeah.
I wondered what it felt like to be pulled back into that feeling and how you pulled yourself out or how you leaned on the people around you.
Yeah.
I've been saying to pull
Yeah,
you
I
out.
needed the people around me more than ever.
Mhm.
Because usually when I have that feeling, I would just make music and it's be therapeutic. I'll be able to, I'll bloat it out.
Yeah.
And I would be like, you know, I'll move on. I had to sit in that
Yeah.
for a long time. And luckily I had that. And right, again, I built this this circle
Hmm.
that's really safe for me of people that really love me, not using me, and like, you know, really care for my best interests. So I was able to have that in the time, you know, the most crucial time for me,
Yeah.
especially people that were close to me. And I'll explain. So like, you know, when those type of things happen, people run. They don't care what happened. They don't care. It's like, save yourself.
Yeah.
You know, so I have partners. You know, I've had big deals with, I called my guy from LVMH, hey man, this is coming, and I can't get rid of it. I can't take a settlement.
Yeah.
It ain't in my DNA. First of all, first I had to tell my wife, let's just back up.
Yeah.
Like, it ain't even in me. I know what this is the weight that this is gonna bring on our family.
Hmm.
I can't do it. The makeup, I would die. It would have been cheaper, yes. Cheaper, quicker,
Yeah.
move on with your life. It was like a testament because people know me. Like, I know who you are, and that's impossible. And not only we standing by you, but what do you need?
Yeah. What did you kind of do to come back from that personally or emotionally, I guess?
I'm still working with that. That's a great question. I'm still dealing with that.
What if instead of designing thumbnails, you could just paste your YouTube link into our AI and it would create scroll-stopping thumbnails for you?
What was it like watching Blue come into her own even more on this most recent tour?
That was amazing.
Like,
You know, because on the first tour, you know, there was a lot of conversation around her first performance.
Mhm.
And she worked really hard to get to that point, but she still wasn't going for it. She still was like going through the motions. And then after that, she just started going for it. Like, she started fighting back. I saw her fight maybe for the first time in her life, like fighting back.
Mhm.
You know, like not everything is just given to her and everything is easy. She had to fight for that and she fought for it. Then to see her do the amount of work, she's almost on every number.
Yeah.
I had to take her off physically or something. I'm like, man, you can't be on that stage where she's singing, you know, 6-inch heels. You crazy? That's never gonna happen. You know, like it was like that. It was like a fight.
Sure.
She wanted to dance every single number. And that's a lot of choreography to remember.
Mhm.
She was 13 at the time. That's a lot. And she was nailing it. She was going crazy.
That's what's up.
Yeah. Like Blue is a crazy pianist,
That works.
but she won't let us get her like a teacher. She don't want to be mentored in that way because she wants it to feel just like fun. She don't want it to be a job.
Mhm.
But when she has a perfect pitch,
Mhm.
anything. If she hears a song, she'll be like, play it again, and then she'll play it.
Oh wow.
Like, she'll teach herself. She'll find the notes and then she's off playing it. That's just talent. Because we tell her, like, you know, that's not normal, right? And she's just like, no, I just want to play. I enjoy playing. Let me just play.
I love this part about Jay-Z. Look, man, I support people who love their family, who love their children, who love their daughters, you know what I'm saying, who promotes fatherhood. People say what you want to say about Jay-Z. I think this was a very touching moment that I can personally relate to. You know what I'm saying? Like, he seems to care about interacting with his family and interacting with his daughter and his children. And that's a commendable thing. I mean, I think in the world we live in today, we're always trying to find reasons to be critical of people. And a lot of times we don't compliment the things that are commendable. You know what I mean? Like, the guy is, you know, talking about a moment with his daughter where he saw her working and observing the greatness in his child. And I think that's dope, because I feel like that often about my children. You know, I'm no Jay-Z by no stretch of the imagination, but, you know, as a father, you always want to nourish your children's potential. You always want to build their confidence. You always want to celebrate them. And it's good to hear him speak, you know, in such a positive way about his daughter. I've seen a lot of different interviews, a lot of different celebrities, and their kids never come up. And I think that's dope that, you know, he chose to acknowledge his daughter and to bring her up in that way.
So she doesn't work at that. She worked at this, you know, and, you know, it makes me proud that she fought for something that she really wanted to do.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to be able to get off that stage now. I don't know.
You pop out like when you want to, you record when you want to, like you're not in that, like that stricture.
Yeah, I think 444 released a lot. Although it's the hardest album for me to make,
Mhm.
it's still hard to, I can't even listen to 444 because it's the album that I was always afraid to make. You know what I mean? Like you think about like, man, I want to make an album like it's just like pure and just like vulnerable and just like the real interior thoughts,
Mhm.
you know, not like, you know, this Superman, like this mythical figure.
So it's interesting for you to like pinpoint that, because like we were saying earlier, the last time you did one of these like kind of real sit downs was around 444, when that had like just happened and just come out. So I'm curious now, like what it's like that it's been some time since that, and how you've kind of evolved with those changes and going through that door, like you said.
I'm super proud of the work that I've done and put in, and to be able to do that in front of the whole world.
Yeah.
Like most people, you know, they get to, you know, go through their things, you know, very privately. Right?
You took it on tour.
Live every night. It was so healing. 444 to like everything is love. That's a real chapter in life that you know, it got recorded.
Everything is love. You're rapping like really, like there's some crazy verses on there where you're just like flowing nuts. Like
Yeah.
friends and nice, you know, like
Yeah, thank you. And I'm a fan of my wife's creativity. She's a monster in the studio. She can hear like a sound off of like a drum 8 months prior and be like, what happened to that drum that was, remember that song that I'm like, no. And she'll pull out a drum sound that's like needed for that moment. You know what I mean? Like, she's a great producer. So when you're around that type of talent, it's just like, again, you know, you're in that type of energy, you know, people bringing music and, you know, it's just a vibe. So those verses were just crafted because we were just having a good time.
it feels like you and her are in a real creative zone too right now. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think like the last couple albums she's put out, I've noticed your name in the liner notes a lot too. Like I can kind of picture you like in the studio flowing like Unicorn is the uniform you put on, you know?
Yeah, but you know, again, it's that energy. Like I know what she's trying to accomplish and anything that I can contribute. I mean, for my family, first of all, you know, I thought it was super important and a challenge and fun to be in the room.
Does that give you some of your own creative spark to get back to your own zone and get the pen out?
It actually does the opposite.
Really?
I'm actually fulfilled in that space. You know what I mean? Just to be like, you know, a small cog in that wheel. I'm getting out that creativity. But again, I was just so like heavy. And I don't know how to make music that's not reflective of how I'm feeling at the moment. It would have been fiery,
That would have been.
but I don't know. I don't know if it's done more harm than good. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Because, you know, I have a lot of like scratch ideas and they like all bad. I gotta be honest. They're bad. It's just like all bad.
The streets really wanted you on that Clips album.
Yeah, I was close. I think I think the first thing that I say, it has to be said from me.
You can't be like
I don't want to be so rigid with it though. I'm gonna keep that open. So I'm gonna take that back. But at that moment, I was like, yeah, I want to do something, but in order for me to move forward, I got to get this shit out.
Okay.
I gotta get it out.
If there's one jacket that you can wear whatever the weather, it's a trench coat.
Every generation rediscovers it through their own lens.
It's very timeless. It spans all personalities and all ages.
I really wanna talk to you. I really wanna know you. I really wanna talk to you. I really wanna.
When we're talking about putting on for the culture, what does it mean to you to be at the helm of a cultural event so important as the Super Bowl?
I had to pause real quick. Jay-Z keeps talking about this heavy feeling that he wanted to get out. Almost feeling bottled down by a lot of stuff. I'm not sure. Is he talking about the whole thing affiliated and associated with Puff Daddy? Y'all gonna have to help me out. Is it about all the allegations that was being made where they was trying to drag his name? Is that essentially what he's talking about? Or is there some sort of drama or situation going on with him that I just haven't been paying attention to, that I need to get caught up to speed on? I don't really know what was the other issue. I know last year was Diddy's trial. I think there was a lot of people online who was speaking, negatively on him and just kind of talking crazy about things that they suspect he's done and things of that nature. A lot of blasphemous things, but I don't know if it was that any different than any prior year. I think they talk about musicians who's at the top of their craft all the time. So I don't know if that's the stuff that was really weighing on him. But yeah, and if anybody knows about that as I'm doing this, feel free to leave something in the comments what specifically he may be referring to when he's talking about the stuff he's got to get out.
I think everyone should experience music in its totality. And for a lot of years, it was only one side of music that was being represented.
Yeah.
And we got the opportunity to create a more balanced idea of what popular music is today.
Yeah.
I'm not going out on a limb. It's the most famous people in the world.
Statistically supported.
It's like I'm not like, I didn't pick like the indie artist that I really like from Portland. The #1 streamed artist in the world. Him.
It's crazy that I think last year was still like the first solo rap act, which is crazy to say that last year was that. Was that a hard one to get across the board?
Not without conversations that was like dated.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you said, the stats show Kendrick broke the audience record.
Yep.
It's not rocket science. It's like this is the music of our time, and it should be represented on the biggest stage because these are some of the. I'm not saying they're the only artists, right? Obviously, other artists would be offended.
Yeah.
But I think that was the right choice.
As a rapper, first and foremost, and being one of the pillars of contemporary rap, I would have to imagine that you got a special kick out of watching that show, though, in particular.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I thought it was brave. I thought what he did was brave, and it speaks to who he is as a performer.
Mm-hmm.
He could have made it a little easy on himself.
Just aesthetically and like what?
No. Aesthetically, it was beautiful. It was flawless. The artistic choice to play
the new album
was a choice, and brave in front of that big of an audience. Because even if 10 million people know some of these songs, there's 120 million people that's like, what is he doing? And as an artist, to stand up there and do it and complete your vision was like, I had to tip my hat. Like, I have a high respect for him already, but like even more, my respect was like, he's really about what he say he's about.
Yeah.
I
have to ask you this only as a participant, and
you don't have to give a disclaimer first.
Well, I'm just saying, as someone who was part of probably the genre's biggest rap beef.
Well, until now.
As a spectator, what did you think of the 2024 back and forth between him and Drake?
I'm gonna have an answer you're not gonna like.
Okay.
Well, I don't know if you're gonna like that's presumptuous. I think that look, there was 4 pillars of hip hop. There are 4 pillars of hip hop, right?
Yep.
There's breakdancing,
Yep.
and it's graffiti.
Yep.
There's DJing and battling.
Yep.
Breakdance is not at the forefront of rap anymore. It's actually an Olympics sport. So that's dead. Graffiti,
Yeah.
beautiful, in certain places.
Yeah.
And even in major art and like Keith Haring
Yeah. Yeah.
and Basquiat, actually, the street artist,
Yep.
took it to a next level. It's not part of hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
DJing, the DJ was in the forefront. It was Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince,
Right. Yeah.
Eric B and Rakim.
Yeah.
You don't even know the DJ for half of the artists anymore. Who's
Yeah.
Drake DJ? I have no idea. Okay,
Couldn't tell you off top.
that no longer exists. And the last pillar is battling. We love the excitement, and I love the sparring and the music you get.
Mm-hmm.
But in this day and age, it's so much negative stuff that comes with it. They almost wish it didn't happen.
Really?
Yeah, because it's almost like it's a final thing. Now people that like Kendrick hate Drake,
Yeah.
no matter what he makes, no matter what he says, and it goes far too. It's like attack on his character and his thing, and it's like, I don't know if I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if it's helpful to our growth. Where the fallout lands,
Mm-hmm.
especially on on social media, which takes place every day.
Yeah.
And now you have these pods of cult.
The Stan armies fighting.
Yeah, and it's like, it's too far.
Yeah.
It's like bringing people kids in it.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't like that. Maybe I've grown in a space that is probably, I sound like the old guy wagging the finger. But I think we can achieve the same thing as far as like sparring with music, with collaborations more so than breaking the whole thing apart.
Yeah.
It could stand it before because there was no social media and there was no thing, and you had the battle and it was fun and then you moved on.
Right.
Right now, I don't know if it could stand it with the technology that we have.
Because it takes up so much oxygen.
It takes up so much oxygen.
Yeah.
And now it's just like every day they're just trying
Like they're
to
still
take,
talking about it.
it's not just talking about it. Not like, yo, this song I like this.
Yeah.
It's like trying to tear down the people's life.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like trying to, wreck this guy's marriage or this guy's relationship with his child. And it's like, I don't know, man. I don't know if it's worth it at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's interesting.
Again, I love the idea that we got so much music in such a short period of time.
Great music.
Just everything around it was just like, man, it's like taking us a couple steps back.
I love this point that he's making because I actually agree 100%. And this is not me agreeing with everything he's saying, but I think I did a video on the Drake and Kendrick Lamar beef. And it was one of those things where, it seemed like it got way too personal. You post in a guy's house on social media, and then a little time afterwards, one of his bodyguards or somebody gets killed, or you're talking about this guy's wife and they're trying to work on their marriage, and you're trying to expose like maybe the wife is cheating and stuff like that. There's a vicious, venomous intent there that I think, kind of takes away from the competitive artistic nature of the whole thing. It's almost a bit too personal. And I agree with him on that, in that there are things that you can like about each of the different opponents and their rhyming styles, their creativity, the way they approach a particular battle, and it's entertaining. But when it gets to the point where that venom ends up spilling over into the people and they carry it on, and it becomes this, thing that has this air of evil to it, there's nothing about that that's praiseworthy. And I 100% would agree with him on that part. I also like the points he made about the 4 pillars, because unless you're a student of hip hop, you don't really understand that, right? Like unless you was really paying, you grew up in that time where breakdancing was a part of the whole process. It used to be the process. The guys would walk around with the boombox and they would breakdance and they would battle each other. There was crews from different neighborhoods. And that's how you used to settle conflict. You would breakdance with each other. And it was a peaceful way of like dealing with conflict. And then you had the DJ aspect. There was mixtapes. There used to actually be a circuit of mixtapes with tapes, you know, and then it turned into CDs, but you used to have tapes. And before that, it was, there was another piece of software. I don't want to say Atari, but it was something else. It's like a cartridge you put in. But there was all these forms of music, and the way it was being distributed, it was through the streets, and it was something very organic. And that's really not there anymore because things have shifted. And then obviously, you know, the artist battling was also one of those things where, you know, this guy from this neighborhood is a good lyricist and this guy's a good lyricist, and the two guys would represent each other's neighborhoods and they would go at it. And that was artistic. But it's true, it's gotten to a place where it's just it's a little too personal. Guys, you know, like you said, guys are bringing people's kids into it. And I think whenever you start talking about people's kids, it's not good, man. You can't just talk about people's kids. It's true. You know what I'm saying? It's true. That's a point. There's got to be some decorum, you know, because it stops being artistic at that point, and just the protective nature of the parent comes out. And it's like, wait, like, what are we doing? Or when you talk about somebody's family, it just gets too crazy. So I'm with him on these points.
Yeah.
And we just grown so much that I don't know if, I guess I'm gonna say it, I don't know if battling needs to be part of the culture anymore.
Interesting.
I hate that I had this point of view. I do, because I know what it sounds like. I know what it feels like. I hate it. It's just how I feel about it.
Well, it even kind of extended to you, right? Because people made it a personal thing that you chose Kendrick for the Super Bowl. It's like, oh man, he's choosing the side, and he's and he's not.
Like I don't have, what do I have to do with that? I chose the guy that was having a monster year. I think it was the right choice.
Word.
It wasn't in some sort of alliance to a battle. I don't.
Yeah.
What I care about them two guys battling, like, what's that got to do with me?
Or
have at it, have fun. It's almost like not just me, by the way. They drag everybody in it. Like everyone's part of this conspiracy to undermine Drake, I guess. But like, what the fuck? Like what? I'm fucking Jay-Z. or do respect to him. I'm fucking Hov. Do respectfully.
Or
like for what? To what end?
Yeah.
It couldn't be like these guys just don't like each other.
Yeah.
And I think they haven't liked each other for a long time.
Before you had anything to do with it.
For a while.
Yeah.
I think this has been brewing, just like me and Nas was brewing.
Yeah.
It didn't happen at the Summer Jam. That happened at Lexington TV sets, the minimum, whatever. It was a whole bunch of stuff leading up to that point.
Myth Fleek, what is the Myth Fleek slugs in your hat, right?
It was slugs in your hat. It was a bunch of like little things that led up to that point. And then when it happened, I actually regret that, because I really like Nas. He's a really nice guy.
But also to your point, like I remember I was like 10 or 11 when that happened. I was like,
pick a side.
Well, I was on your side.
Yeah, I got clearly.
But my position was I can't go out and buy Stillmatic or ask my parents to buy Stillmatic.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna borrow it and burn it because I can't deny one mic, you know?
Like I want to hear it.
Yeah.
But I ain't supporting them.
Or
yeah.
This is like really good, actually. Like the more that I'm eating it, I'm like, hold on.
So it's almost kind of like fostering the same independence that you carry versus like
right back to the
just
beginning.
being like you're signed to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're gonna curate your career in this sort of way.
Yeah.
You know. I never was comfortable with that anyway.
With being
an artist's
charged.
Expression should be their expression.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really much fall back. That's what I think what happened with Cole. Like just the narrative around Cole is that we didn't love Cole. No, we believed in him enough to let him find his journey.
Yeah.
And he found his path. It took him a minute,
Yeah.
but he found his way.
Was that something that you had to learn yourself though too? Because Cole will tell the story about how like you wanted to sit him with Stargate and maybe think about that single.
Yeah, I was giving him a chance to take his talent and show it to the most people possible.
Yeah.
But his way. I didn't force on it. It's like, here's this record from Stargate, and you putting it out. Like I forced Bleak to make Men Bleak. It's like, no.
I mean, I think that works.
Like my little brother. He has to listen to me. You know what I mean? But like for J. Cole, he has to find his own direction. And I'm going to give him the tools.
Yeah.
I mean, we made big records with Stargate. They made humongous records and on Rihanna and blah, blah, blah. And even, I think they made the Wiz Khalifa Black and Yellow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Biggest songs in the world.
Yeah.
You don't want to go sit with fine.
All right.
You know, so I'm gonna present that, but I'm not gonna make them do it.
Yeah. What is your relationship with Cole like these days?
Obviously, there's things behind the scenes with, you know, like
you
know, audits and shit like that gets complicated.
Yeah.
But I think given a chance to prove that you're above board is an opportunity.
Word.
So I don't have any negative feelings for him. I'm actually super proud of him and what he's done.
It sounds like you're still, like, when you came in, we were talking about the mixtape, like you're still engaging with the work as a fan too.
Yeah, Clue sent it to me actually.
Oh, word?
Clue, not Cole.
Yeah?
He sent it to me because he's proud, right?
Yeah.
Think about Clue, like he have like a resurgence behind it.
Yeah. I want to go back to this idea we were talking about just doing things the right way, even when that comes to like attaining wealth and continuing to amass wealth. We're talking about B-sides. One of your illest lines to me is face to the ceiling, race to $1 billion, heaven on earth, will his wings still fit him? So like, what's the answer to that question? Is it a constant struggle to maintain?
Your morality defines who you are, right? It's not what you've attained. It's not a dollar amount that changes you.
Yeah.
And if so, what is that dollar amount? When does it start? Is it 100,000? Is it 150? Like at what point, if it's a cutoff, if it's like all millionaires are bad.
Yeah.
Okay. So at 999,000, I'm good. It can't be that way, right? It doesn't make any sense. The system is set up against me, against us. But I'm talking about my specific struggle.
Yeah.
Everything was against me. My talent. Not taking advantage of people, not taking advantage of a system, not creating tax loopholes, not just taking from other people. No, my talent pushed against all the headwind. And with that success, I've done things with my reach that I wanted to do that was helpful for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And with the system that we have, what are you going to do? Because I don't believe in that the idea that someone has a certain amount of money, it defines their personality.
So when you have like an example like that versus like the kind of, I would say, commonplace public perception that someone would say all billionaires are bad or no one should have $1 billion. Like, what's the tension in that?
I got to give you the honest answer.
Please.
There's no tension.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck what you say. You can believe what you want to believe.
Word.
You know, and people behave the way they want to behave.
You was who you was before you got here.
Was who you was before you got here.
Yeah.
That's the makeup of your person. You're going to believe what you're going to believe, and you're going to behave the way you behave.
You're looking at a year that you defined to me as all offense. And, you know, you said that you made scratches and they sounded kind of like fiery and maybe not anything you wanted to put out. So it made me wonder, like, what are the hallmarks of a great Jay-Z album right now? Like, what are you trying to put out there that you would want to put out there?
I don't know yet. I don't know. But I know that we have enough negativity currently. I know that for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know what I need to create currently that's gonna like fulfill me.
Okay.
And make me happy, because that's most important.
Yeah.
Right. And whatever that feeling is, you know, will vibrate and like, you know, touch people in a way with its honesty. And maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe I'm stopping myself from just creating, trying to create something that people like.
Yeah.
Is where I think a lot of artists get jammed up.
Right.
You know,
overthinking it.
Yeah. They just try to make
or reverse engineer it. Yeah.
Yeah. Or like, you know, they love the feeling of that white hot feeling of when they was it felt new.
Yeah.
And that newness, trying to create that, is where they get jammed up, because you don't know slang, and you don't know thing. And it's sad. It's like it's cringy. Like, nah, don't do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Make your type of music.
Word.
Because you ain't doing what you saying you're doing. I'm not doing the same thing I was doing in '96.
Yeah.
So we need to make that any type of music that approaches that would be embarrassing, because it's not authentic.
Mm-hmm.
You just gotta make something timeless that I really love, and that's really honest and true to who I am.
You once said to the Russian billionaire that you were doing business with, I think with the Nets or Barclays, Mikhail, and you were saying how he showed you that, like, you both stayed at the same hotel and you were on one floor and you thought you were staying on the highest floor, and then he revealed that there was an even higher floor that he stayed on, and that lesson to you was that there's always a higher floor to climb. So I wanted to check back in and see if you still feel that way. Like, do you feel like you've reached the highest floor, or there's still floors to climb, and what the next however many years looks for you?
Yeah, they're more start because I thought the highest floor in the building was the end of it, right? The next step is like owning the building. No, you're staying at my hotel.
That's hard.
I think in that way, if we just stay childlike and stay curious, there's always going to be another level.
Okay. So that's the original Jay-Z video from the horse's mouth, if you will. I thought it was a good video. If you go online right now, there's people who is extremely critical of the videos, claiming he's talking in circles, and we'll jump into some of the feedback, some of the things that his critics may be saying. Everyone's got a narrative, but I thought this was a good interview. It was insightful for me. There was a lot of gems that I extracted from it. What I got from Jay-Z in this interview was a lot of growth. I think, the guy's in his 50s. He's got children. He's married. He's not the same person he was when he was in his 20s and his 30s, just starting his career. And you see the evolution of the man in the way that he even thinks, in the way that he speaks, and the things that he prides himself in. You see a big emphasis on his family and celebrating his daughter, and how meaningful it is for him to see her blossom and grow into the young lady that he believes her to be. That's something that I can relate to. I'm a father, and watching my kids grow and evolve and blossom is the most rewarding thing that I think anyone could ever have. And so to hear him talk like that, I can relate to that. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm in that phase of life where that matters to me. For somebody younger, they might not be able to relate to that because they're not a father. They don't have any kids to watch blossom. So a lot of the stuff may go over their heads. But I sense a lot of growth. I sense that this is a man who's obviously trying to protect his legacy. If indeed the problem that is weighing him down has been the allegations that's made to stain him, which I always see, like, it seems like it's not a coincidence that you get to the top of the mountain where everyone is celebrating you, and then it's an opportunity for everyone to try to bring you down a whole lot. Bill Cosby couldn't do no wrong, and now he's got to pay $6 million because of some allegations that he was doing this. R. Kelly at one point was at the top of the mountain, the king of R&B, all this stuff, and now he's sitting in the jail 20 years. Puff Daddy at one point was a pioneer doing all these things, and now he's somewhere locked away. And it's almost like the system lives to build you up, only leads to break you down. And he seems to be a man who does not want his legacy stained by people's allegations of him and things of that nature. And I think that's the part where he says he wants to play offense and not just be on defense, where he's just sitting back and letting people throw rocks. But he's saying, no, like, what I've built on hard work. I've built on principles that I stay true to, and I didn't cut corners. And now I have a legacy that I built for my family. And that's what's at stake here. My kids have to hear and receive the criticism about their father. And he's like, I don't want that to be the only story told. I can respect that 100%. I can respect that as a man. I could respect that. You know, you got to be a role model for your child, and people may be saying crazy things and that may potentially have your child now be ashamed based on what somebody's alleging. And it's like, how do I let that slide? You know, at some point you do have to stand up and say, no, that's not who I am. The people who saying these things are, you know, flawed individuals with their own complexes. And, you know, I'm going to at least stand up and speak up for myself and, you know, maybe showcase a little more about myself, because I think the whole thing with Jay-Z is, as famous as he is, he's an extremely quiet and private person who doesn't do interviews. He doesn't respond to everybody's, you know, critiques of him. He just kind of stays out of the way and just gets to the business and continues to succeed. And I think that, you know, enrages the people who hate him even more. So it causes, you know, a lot of rift. And, you know, I guess he's taking a different philosophy. But another thing I got from this too is that, you know what, no matter how famous somebody gets, no matter how big you are, no matter how known you are, no matter how rich you are, you're still a human being. People talking crazy about you is still going to affect you. If not directly affect you, them talking crazy might affect one of your loved ones, one of your children, your wife. It might affect, you know, people that mean something to you. So there isn't fame and riches doesn't deprive that feeling, the human feeling, the, hey, I breathe the same air you do. You know, aspirationally, I want to be loved and, you know, well received and perceived in a positive light. You know, I think all of us have that. Like, all of us want to feel that, you know, we're celebrated for the right reasons, or at least criticized for the right reasons. And when people are just throwing allegations and just doing anything to stain or to tarnish your name, you know, you're not a robot. I mean, at some point it does weigh on you. You know, my pastor went through it. You know, a guy who's devoted his life towards preaching the gospel, helping people, is being called a crook, being called a prosperity minister, being called this. And it's almost like the guy's a human being too. You know what I mean? Like, when you're just, you know, attacking him. And I've never understood people who get pleasure out of just attacking someone. You know what I'm saying? Just to attack them. Like, they get pleasure. Like, it makes them feel good to be overly critical of people. I may comment on certain things. I don't really believe in personal attacks per se. And if I have done it in the past, I'll be the first to apologize, because that's not where my heart is. I don't believe that you need to tear other people down in order to feel better about yourself. That's not my makeup. That's not my DNA. So, you know, as much as this man can be criticized, still a child of God. You know, I pray that, you know, God's still working in his life. Hopefully he's accepted Christ in his life, and, you know what I'm saying, he's working to make an impact in the lives of others. You know, I don't know that man's personal life. I don't know what he does behind closed doors. And, you know, I'm too busy living my own life to try to speculate about what could be happening in his life. But that being said, you know, we all going to draw our own conclusions. Now, I am going to shift the show a little bit, because I did see there's a lady named Tasha K and another guy named Angry Man. And then there's another, Jaguar White seems to be having a response to the Jay-Z. And this is one of his biggest critics. What will I do? Let me start with the Angry Man. Let's see what he had to say.
Your YouTube thumbnail can be the difference between 100 views and 1 million. Mr. Beast doesn't guess thumbnails. He has a team.
So last week you had Beyonce mama out here selling bad gumbo, and now Jay-Z done popped out for an interview with GQ. But why? What's the reason? Is it promotion for his concert he's doing at Yankee Stadium this summer? Or is it in light of what happened to Diddy and the allegations that were hurled at him last year? Let's break it down.
I didn't know you were talking about being heavy.
How would you rate your 2025? Like looking back on the last year?
It was hard, really hard. I was like heartbroken.
Really?
Yeah, I'm glad we got right to that, so we could just get that out the way.
Okay.
Like I was really heartbroken by like everything that occurred, with all like, we in the space now where it's just like, almost like consequence is not thought about enough. So everything is so instant. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like that whole Busby.
The civil lawsuit that was dropped, dismissed.
That shit took a lot out of me. I was angry. I haven't been that angry in a long time. Uncontrollable anger. Like if you don't put that on someone, like that's the thing that you better be super sure. It used to be like that. Like you have to be super sure before you put those kind of things on a person, especially a person like me.
So off the rip, Jay-Z talking about he had a bad year last year. How you have a bad year as a billionaire, I have absolutely no idea. But he's saying that he had a bad year in reference to the allegations that came out where he was basically being accused of some Diddy type shit. And by the way, I found it to be cap when he said to the guy, I'm glad you asked that question. We can go ahead and get it out of the way. First of all, who is this dude you're interviewing with? Don't nobody know who he is, bruh. Why not interview with somebody from the culture that's notable that we know is going to ask you some real questions? But see, that's the point. This is the Kamala Harris strategy. Let me go do a softball interview so I can try to do damage control and control the narrative. And by the way, Jay, I'm a big fan. I've always been a Jay-Z fan, but I'm sorry. I got to call cap. This whole interview seems like damage control. It seems like you're trying to get out in front of something, whatever. I don't know. But I will tell you this. You said some really hypocritical shit just now when you said you can't just be accusing people of stuff. You got to make for certain before you accuse somebody of that, especially somebody like me. Now, how you going to sit there and say something like that when you literally picked Kendrick Lamar to perform at the Super Bowl and he's literally accusing somebody of that same thing on the damn album? He's literally on the song accusing Drake, somebody with the same type of status as you, of being a PDF file. What kind of hypocrite, bro? How are you going to be upset about the fact that somebody falsely, in your words, falsely accused you of something, and you literally took a dude that's also falsely accusing somebody of something and put them on the biggest stage in the world so that they could falsely accuse somebody of something?
But the wins are so big that I can see where that can dominate a person's memory. You forget the losses.
Yeah. Or the perception.
Yeah, or that becomes the perception that it's only wins. And then I do say I will not lose. So I could add to the perception as well.
I was going to say you also are really good at kind of like, you have a discipline of almost like shrugging off any kind of perception of a loss. Like,
yeah,
let's look, Ness go 0 for 82. I'll look at you like it's gravy, like,
Yeah, because it's all wins. If I had 0.1 of the Nets, I won.
Or
it's like I had ownership in a basketball team in Brooklyn.
Is that something you continue to apply? Like,
yeah,
when, God forbid, something goes wrong, don't freak out. We can.
It's not even God forbid when something goes wrong. Something goes wrong. Everything in life happens for your greatest good.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. I had to not get a deal in order to become who I am today.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't feel like the greatest blessing of all. It was the greatest blessing that I didn't get a deal, right? So again, everything in your life, it's not happening to you, it's happening for you.
When you
don't skip over that.
Yeah.
It's not happening to you, it's happening for you. So you just got to know the distinction. Everything is just how you relate to it. There's no good or bad. Shit happens.
Siri's dictation was driving me crazy, so I switched to Whisperflow.
Here's why I'll never go back. First off, it actually gets it right. Watch what Siri does with this. Can you share the Miro board, export the concepts to Figma, and update the timeline in Airtable? No, wait, Jira. Actually, never mind. Use Asana instead. Siri keeps all this mess, misspells the names, and never adds any punctuation. Whisperflow always gets it perfect. Second, smart formatting. I can say grocery list, eggs, yogurt, bread, bananas, and Flow formats it into an actual list with bullet points. Siri, just a block of text. This one changed everything for me. Custom snippets. I added a snippet so that when I say add my calendar link, it drops in my full Calendly URL. Siri can't do that. And the best part, it works everywhere. Gmail, Slack, ChatGPT, iMessage, WhatsApp, Notion, literally every app, desktop and mobile. Siri only works in Apple apps. If you're still using Siri for dictation, you're working way hard.
It's life.
I remember one time Will Smith was doing a talk show interview, and he said something to the effect of 4 plus 4 is an 8. Now, don't quote me on this because I can't remember the quote exactly. But he basically said 4 plus 4 is an 8. It's whatever I want it to be. That was the moment when I realized Will Smith was full of shit. And now, as much as I hate to say it, this is Jay-Z's moment like that. First, he said, everything doesn't happen to you, it happens for you, which we've heard him say this before. I don't understand the point of doing a new interview if you're just going to repeat the same stuff you said before. But he says everything happens for your greatest good. And then immediately says after that, there is no good or bad. I saw somebody on the internet say, if you watch this GQ interview with Jay-Z and you were one of those people that picked a dinner with Jay-Z instead of the 500,000, you're crazy. And I ain't going to front. I'm going to have to agree with him at this point. But I don't like this interview, and I'll tell you why. With everything that happened to P. Diddy, I feel like Jay-Z is in fear of the fact that he might be next on the chopping block. So even though he's been secluded and hasn't done an interview in years, all of a sudden he decides to come down from Mount Olympus and consort with the common folk. Sitting down with an unknown interviewer talking about his losses, you know, Mr. I will not lose. It seems like he's trying to humanize himself. This seems like damage control. Like maybe his publicist told him he needs to do this to get out in front of whatever may possibly be coming.
I was muted there for a second. I guess for me, I think he just made a valid point. So let me give him that. You know, a lot of times these artists have teams that try to get around to doing certain things, but anybody would do that. You know, that's not something unique to him. I think a lot of artists who's reached the pinnacle of their careers are starting to realize that you're not invincible. There is not enough money you can make that once the public wants blood or once you've been implicated in something, that I don't care how much money you got. When they want to tear you down, bruh, you're going to get torn down. And you have to play the public relations game. That's a fact. Because there are some people who are well connected. They may have things on other people. They may have means. They may have homes. They may have all that stuff. When the right people are pulling the strings, somebody you did a business dealing with, like Diddy, a lot of people are saying a lot of the issues Diddy has is rooted in a Diageo deal that he did with his liquor. You know, he was the face of one of their liquors, and Diageo would say he got too big for his britches. I know a girl one of my homegirls out in Maryland who works on Diageo projects and was tightly connected to what was going on there. And she told me a lot of the stuff came as a result of, you know, he started feeling himself and started thinking that he had more of a say in this thing than he actually did. Now, Diageo is a big brand that owns a lot of different liquors all over the world. And the moment Diddy had the nerve to sue them and they settled out with him, he made the wrong enemy. And those people have connections that's connected to the Department of Justice, that's connected to the FBI, that's connected to things far bigger than your money could ever earn you. And when those people put in certain calls and you become the target, I mean, look at Donald Trump, a guy who was the darling of the media for like 40 years before he ran for president. The guy's been the darling of the media since the 70s, the 80s. He was like a modern day playboy, young, swaggy dude who was a real estate tycoon doing great things, celebrated everywhere. And then he pissed the wrong people off. And before you know it, he's being indicted in a New York courtroom and being convicted of these horrendous rapes happening in the public. What? Like, the money, and he's been a billionaire, the money doesn't shield you from being a target when certain people who have real weight and real power and real influence want to target you. Perfect example with the war and stuff that we're watching right now, right? Here's a guy who was an Ayatollah of a whole country for like 40-something years. He's literally what some would perceive the leader of a religion, a mythical creature, if you will. And some people somewhere decided, we want to take this guy out. And just like that, his life was gone. I'm telling you. So, to me, the lesson here is you can never get too big for your bridges. And I think Jay-Z is starting to realize, hey, if I don't take control of the narrative, I'm not exempt from the consequences. You know, like Diddy's doing 4 whole years right now for a freaky chick he had that liked to have sex with other men on his dime. He didn't get convicted of all the other stuff. All the RICO stuff they were trying to hit him with, he didn't get convicted of none of that. This dude happened to love a girl who was way more freaky than him and who convinced him that it would be a good idea for him to pay for her to have sex with other people. That was happening on his dime. And because he loved her enough to go along with it, now he's like the pimp of all pimps who needs to go sit down for a while. All I heard, I felt like he was more, you know, you was just dealing with the wrong woman, bro. First and foremost, your woman, I say this to all men, any woman you dealing with, bro, that thinks it's a good idea to have you watch her sleep with other people, you probably shouldn't be dealing with her. And if you are, there might be things coming down the pipeline that's not going to be favorable to you. I'm just saying, that's not a normal, like a woman who cares for you is going to literally have you in the room while the next man is tearing her guts up. I don't know. So maybe he should have seen that this is not who you should be investing your time and your money in. Now, this is not to condone him putting hands on her. That was wrong. This is not to condone the behavior of, any mental abuse or things of that nature. That's wrong. I'm not condoning, predatory behaviors. But I'm saying, whether we like it or not, people have their little fetishes and things that they like to do in their bedroom that may not be your thing, but it's their thing. And this dude's got to sit down because her thing apparently got repackaged. She wanted some money. She wanted to move on. She got paid in a settlement to not talk about the case. And then she talked about the case despite being paid. You don't get a refund for that. And now he's got to sit down. Now, if a guy like that, who's been so instrumental, you know, especially in connected in Hollywood and other places politically and stuff like that, if he can get pinched, and I don't know if Diddy's a billionaire. I think at one point he might have been, or he's close to. Jay-Z's not exempt from that. And I think he understands it. I mean, if you have any real team around you, and now there's a campaign, and that's what happens when people start making documentaries and they start putting it into the atmosphere that you're a predator and you got little kids that you got to raise. Yeah, you can't just play defense. You do have to actually speak up for yourself, because if you allow the opposition to drive the narrative, then there's this thing, what they call the court of public perception. This is where other people get to try you without you even being afforded due process. They'll just pump stuff in the media about you to frame how people think about you. And then this is going to be the same pool of people they pick to be jurors to sit and determine whether or not you should go free or not. But you missed the whole point where they've already dirtied your name so bad that everyone already thinks you did whatever they're accusing you of. Before you had a trial, they already think it. And in this case, there's a lawyer who's notoriously known for trying to shake down celebrities by getting, you know, a bunch of quote unquote victims to sign petitions saying this act allegedly happened, this act allegedly happened. And next thing you know, he's calling them like, how you want to handle this? Our offer is $30 million for it to go away. And it's like, wait a minute, bro. What? I don't owe you $30 million, and I didn't do whatever your client is alleging. You know what I'm saying? So I can understand the impetus to say, go F yourself and go over there. I'm not, you know, a part of that allegation. I have nothing to do with it. But before they made the allegation, they already plugged it into the media. It's being talked about. And if you're a guy whose name is Jay-Z, known by everyone, that gets attached to you a little more. There's documentaries, there's people who's gonna come for you. And I think that's what happened in part to Diddy. He had an image. Obviously, the guy's got some other, you know, personal demons and stuff like that that got exposed, and that happened deliberately. And ultimately, even though he won the majority of his case, he still got to sit down for a while. And I don't think Jay-Z wants to escape everything he's escaped in his life only to go sit down for a false allegation that somebody might have made. Now, I don't know the essence of it. I'm really not that 10 like that. And I'm glad this man said something to it, because I'm like, what is he talking about? He's heavy, and like, he wasn't on trial. Diddy was. But I do remember people were trying to bring him into the fold with a lot of stuff associating him with whatever Diddy's lifestyle was. And I guess that's what he was referring to when he was talking. So, all right, let's go back to Angry Man and hear his point of view.
And the reason why this is annoying me is because in this late stage of the game, what's the point of humanizing yourself when you've been presenting yourself as a god this entire time? All I'm saying is, you know what you did and what you didn't do. My point is, own it all. If you did what you had to do to get to the top of the mountaintop, own it all. Don't try to backtrack now and try to do damage control.
Sticking with a written testimony, you have a couple of verses on there that I really like because they kind of speak to what's going on with you in a broader sense in the culture, like on Universal Soldier, I think it is, when you said that you don't keep the same energy for the DuPonts and the Carnegies.
Yeah.
So I wanted you to talk a little bit about this idea of like you said earlier, like the things that you do for the culture, the ways that you put on, the ways that you try to protect and move forward, but kind of the pushback that you get sometimes about like people throw capitalists at you in a derogatory sense.
Yeah, I think in that verse specifically, the only thing I heard coming up was the American dream until we started being successful. And it was like, wait a minute, you're selling out because you're making money. That was the first thing that was put on musicians. People had this law for the struggling artist. That's a mind game, what we would call back in the day for tricknology. It was like, no, I'm not going for that. Like, no, I make art first. And then I make sure that I'm compensated for my art. I didn't take advantage. I didn't get here by taking advantage of people. I didn't take it, no one. That's not my reputation. That's not what I do. I didn't get here by taking advantage of people or taking advantage of, the loopholes in the system or some wrinkle in like a capitalist structure. That structure exists, and I just see the world for what it is, not for what I want it to be.
Now, while I do agree with him, it's wrong to try to tell artists and musicians that they're selling out for making money. For him to say he didn't take advantage of anybody is cap. From Dame to Benny Siegel to Young Guns to so many different people. We've heard the stories. And look, it's just like I told my wife. I don't care if a dude wants to take advantage of people in business if those people aren't smart enough to read their contracts or do their due diligence in order to make sure they get the best deal. My thing is, if you're going to be a staunch capitalist, if you're going to be a shrewd businessman, own it. This goes back to what I just said about a dude presenting himself as a god, and now he's trying to humanize himself by being apologetic.
I disagree with this point that the angry man is making here, and let me kind of expound on this a little more. The reason why I disagree with this point is because if we even start with the Dame Dash situation, I think Dame Dash got ahead of himself, personally. And I like Dame Dash. I think he's a voice, an inspiration for a lot of people. But his style of doing business is not it was causing a lot of conflict, I would say. If you have a partner, if anybody's ever been in business before and you set up a partnership with somebody where you guys are supposed to discuss and there's a process about how you guys do things, and one person's head and ego gets so big that they refuse to honor and respect the partnership to the point where you're making decisions and announcing it, and a guy's on vacation and finding out you made some guy the president of the company, and that's being announced on national radio, and it makes you look small, makes you look like you're not in the loop as to what's going on with you. I think you are within your right to say, I no longer want to do business like that. That's some grown man stuff right there. Nobody threw blows. It wasn't like that. It's like, look, the way, obviously we started, we did something great together, but we're at an impasse where the way you want to grow and the way I want to grow are not aligned. And I got to go that way. You see basketball players do it all the time. They get drafted by a team. They win championships with the team. And eventually the team wants to go in a direction that the player doesn't want to go in. But the term of the player's contract is up. He doesn't have to resign. I don't have to continue the relationship with you if we're not on the same page. That's what happened. There was a rift happening. These dudes are kind of going after different girls and talking to the same girls and kind of undermining each other underneath the surface. And one guy feels like this is my artist, meaning I made him. And he's talking in such of a braggadocious way that tries to make the other person maybe feel small a little bit. And the dude's like, well, to be honest, we're here because of my talent. And you're at a point where now you're making it seem like I work for you. And I don't work for you. And I don't like how you do business. Dame Dash is the way he's perceived is that, he's a larger than life character, you know what I'm saying? And some of the things and how he would talk to executives and professionals. And I think there were some people in the industry that he didn't rub the right way. And I think there was wrongs on certain parts and that they underhandedly cut him out. I do think some parts of it was wrong. But I could say if Dame Dash looked at it, that he could admit that there's things he probably could have and should have done differently. That's for the Dame Dash part. Now, there's a bunch of other people. I mean, there's his best friend. I think the guy's name is DeHaven. Had some things to say. I'm not fully entrenched in their personal stuff. But I feel like, some people may have some legitimate gripes with him. Others may not. I can't fully agree that he's to blame for everybody's gripes with him. I'm sure he played a part in the gripes, as we all do. But I'm not going to say it's solely on him for that particular thing. All right, so that was the angry man's take. Let's go ahead. I'm going to play one other little critic of Jay-Z, Jagra. We'll play Tasha K. We'll play 3. We'll play Tasha K's feedback, and then we'll play Jagra Wright's feedback before we wrap up. Let's go.
Why do tech-savvy Germans not use traditional razors? A recent study...
Yup, y'all know who this is. Who is it, y'all? Who is it? Who that look like? Who that look like right now? Since he like the copyright strike videos with his picture in, I said, we'll just use this. We ain't got none of the little GQ photos up because he look just like, you seen them GQ photos? Don't he look just like this photo? And then he got one where he yelling like, in the dread. He looked just like, this was supposed to be my Halloween costume. Y'all, this is actually Shaq. This photo. I had him try on the costume. So listen. So Jay-Z has decided to come outside. Now, I was told that these interviews that are going on white platforms, let's not get it mistaken, because I know y'all saw Black Host, but they're white platforms, GQ and a few other Forbes, all right? Even though they have Black hosts, were recorded in January. Now, the press run didn't start until the week that Nicki Minaj was supposed to drop her album. But somebody tipped her off and told her that Jay-Z was going to come outside and do an anniversary tour and all of this to try to change the people's minds about him. Because you got to remember, the thing that we fell in love with Jay-Z about was his music. So he hasn't had music in a long time. So all of these rumors out here that he claims him and his wife are up in the clouds trying to turn them shits down. And now, that's his verse, he's sitting down doing interviews, trying to do press concerning shows that I personally thought were sold out, but they're not. Resellers bought all the tickets and now they inflated the prices. That's why Live Nation and them allegedly got sued the first time for doing that. Dynamic pricing and all of that and ticket scalping illegally. And it's probably them that's buying the tickets so that they can get more and double their money, because $600 tickets, $12,000 tickets to see Jay-Z, and there's still hella seats available. Oh yeah, the Barbs pulled that because I thought they were sold out. But the Barbs said, no. These are resale tickets and they're not sold out. So he's claiming that his 2 shows, the show that he's doing in Philadelphia at the Roots Picnic, okay, with Erykah Badu and Brandy and Monica and all of them, he's in the same city that his alleged son is in, Ramir, that he doesn't claim. That's going to be the first show, which sold out with him and a lot of other artists, okay? And they put him as a headliner, and I don't know why this man ain't did shows since he was on tour with Beyonce, and that wasn't even sold out. together. I saw the videos. They had tarps over the seats on the shows that didn't sell because nobody wanted to see Beyonce and Jay-Z. They only wanted to see Beyonce. Jay-Z don't pull in stadiums like that as a rapper. It doesn't happen. It was Beyonce's leverage. So now
she's capped. I don't believe this lady. She's not. She's not. She's capped on this one. Jay-Z does sell out, you know, the Madison Square Garden regularly. Yeah, he's I don't believe her. But she's a staunch critic. I mean, I don't know what he's done to her in the past, but she don't like him much.
he's booked Yankee Stadium and he's claiming, coincidentally, that he's got 1 million people in the queue that are trying to buy tickets to shows that are not sold out yet. And do you know coincidentally where he got that from? Kanye. So Ye announced that he was doing 2 shows in LA and put up the screenshot of 1 million people waiting to buy tickets to his shows in LA. So coincidentally, Jay-Z comes out with 2 shows that are not sold out at all, but he's adding a third saying 1 million people want to see him, and he's never sold those type of numbers, even with his wife on a tour. That's how I know his dress is fake. They didn't grow that fast. There's no way to stop the cap. Now, all of this is to clean up the Epstein files, the Harvey Weinstein, the Diddy allegations. All of this is to clean up him capitalizing off of the Black community and pocketing money, but not putting it directly back into the Black community. Kaepernick being one. He was paid allegedly by the NFL to sabotage Colin Kaepernick and did that. Colin Kaepernick's wife came out and confirmed that Jay-Z sabotaged him and his career, knowing he would never play football no more, trying to stand up for Black rights. And in those Epstein emails, it is being said by Epstein associates that Jay-Z allegedly was their guy to keep the Black community off of them. Off of their asses. A distraction. He didn't sit with Harvey Weinstein and those guys for no reason. They gave him a seat at the table because he did what house niggas do. I'm sorry. I feel passionate about this because I just don't like when
Yeah, Shorty's a little too passionate about this. She's kind of over the top. I mean, she spun in the chair. That's how passionate she is about this. This is a little much. I don't know what Jay-Z did to this lady, but she seems to be in her feelings about Jay-Z. So I guess we just gotta let her get it out.
people play in our face. Like, everything that Dame Dash has said about Jay-Z, in my opinion, is true. Everybody is not lying on you. Now, coincidentally, you come outside during this press run on the very day that Nicki Minaj's album was supposed to go up and out, and you're doing it to wage a rap beef because you're mad that she's been tearing you and your lace front off. You're mad. And I'm starting to think that is true because here's my thing. You got the worst type of allegations that anybody could have, right? And you...
Why he gotta have a lace front though? What's wrong with this lady? All right. She's a hater, but she's funny as heck. I gotta say that. What? Why you gotta have a lace front? What's going on with that?
Choose to coincidentally come out here to try to rebrand yourself after y'all have been striking creators, taking creators to court, allegedly sending bots and paying judges and everybody to put Tory Lanez in jail on behalf of your non-marketable artist, Megan Thee Stallion. I mean, the list goes on. And so you come outside to do interviews to supposedly address all of the allegations. And all I heard in those interviews was that I was angry, uncontrollable anger. I was angry. And I'm Jay-Z. And you know why? That's the only reason we heard that in all of those interviews. Tell me if you heard anything different. Why would I want Kendrick and Drake to beef? You know why? Because Drake is a better artist and more famous than you.
Blue Chew Gold is a staple in my house. Why? Because they really work. So Blue Chew Gold works because it actually...
Drake was on his way to billionaire status. You know that. He couldn't stand that. He wanted to be the only one at the table, and he doesn't have his white boys to protect him anymore because they're not here. Jeffrey Epstein's boys are gone. And so is Harvey Weinstein. So it's just you out here and that old fetch that you got, Desiree Perez, that's being sued by her own daughter. Make that make sense. Now, you know the reason why we didn't hear not one allegation being addressed properly during any of those interviews? I want you to guess. I want to see if you see what I see. I'm going to put up some pictures. Jay-Z did an interview addressing everything, telling all, but really didn't tell shit. I want you to look at these pictures and tell me why you think none of the questions that we really wanted answers to got answered. Jasmine, put up Exhibit A. Look at this. So these are the two guys that is on white platforms. They look like the same guy, but I think they're two different guys. Either way, they got to interview a 60-year-old man. Can you look at these photos and tell me, why do you think we got no questions answered as opposed in reference to him being in them Epstein files, sabotaging Colin Kaepernick, stealing from artists during that title deal? Tell us. Look at it. What do you see? What do you see wrong with this? Tell me. Tell me. You said they the same guy. He just got on two different interview uniforms. Okay, they do look the same. But tell me, why do you think? Huh? They said the audio, anytime we talk about... Okay. What did they miss, though? Did they miss me saying anything? Why do you think, out of all the interviews that Jay-Z did to promote his non-selling tour, because they're not sold out, he came out here trying to one-up Kanye, because Kanye really had 1 million+ people in the queue. Jay-Z has yet to drop any receipts stating that 1 million people was waiting to come see him. Knowing he on tour with his wife and they get to see him anytime she wants to send him out as a filler show section. Here's the thing. Why do you think none of the Epstein issues got addressed? None of the Diddy issues got addressed in any of those interviews? It's because these are kids. This interviewer can't be no older than 23 years old, interviewing a 60-year-old supposed billionaire who just recently had a show and lowered the volume on his show to state that people need to start voting for crypto casinos and then turn the music back up because he's trying to figure out a way to fund his extreme gambling habit that really keeps him afloat. That's how Jay-Z really makes his money. They denied him for the first casino in New York, him and the Fed. Y'all think they ain't Trump supporters, but they really is. They told him no. They didn't want his money. He asked off for $500 a piece to help him raise more money, but he's a billionaire, and billionaires go to other billionaires to get money, but they don't want to give him no money because he's a reputational risk, and he's bad with money, and he don't pay people back, is what I'm hearing, allegedly. But now he's sitting down to tell all, and he ain't tell us nothing because the interviewees are 23 years old. Infatuated, sitting there just, I ain't gonna play the interviews here because I know they're gonna strike them. So I'm not playing with you, but I can say what I gotta say and get y'all to go watch. Just watch it. It looks like he's trying to coach a 20-year-old who's infatuated that they're just sitting with Jay-Z, they're not going to ask a challenging question. They're not going to push him. They're not going to go deep.
Okay.
He's just rambling and talking. They don't even know what the hell he's talking about because the allegations that he needed to address, they was children at the time. They was under 10 years old. They're talking about over 20 years ago. Maybe even wasn't born. But Jay-Z knows that y'all will probably forgive him because he's going to transmute the energy back into what y'all fell in love with and help y'all to forget about him being the guy that they chose to help keep us quiet. But now that everybody's in jail and they've been hung and all of this stuff, he ain't got no more protection out here. That's why he's sending down copyright strikes. Every time I say that he a billionaire out here begging and he ain't broke. And I'm tired of y'all saying Forbes, sitting with Forbes. Forbes can be paid. And we proved that when we did the Kylie Jenner segment. They accepted fake tax records from Kylie Jenner stating that she was a billionaire so that she can lure investors in to come buy her sinking company. We told that years ago. You want a Forbes article? Go and Google how to get my name in Forbes. They are a paid platform.
All right. This lady's got a lot on her chest. I think I've had enough, but y'all can definitely go check her out, Tasha K, and catch the rest of her feedback. But again, this is what you heard from Jay-Z, what he had to say, and this is some of what his critics got to say. There's some people who are not fans of his, who think she said he's wearing lace fronts. I've never heard that before, but I guess this is this lady's take. I don't know why she's so tight. She seems tight. She seemed like she's not a fan. And there's a few other people who are critics. Again, people are making allegations and without any proof, without a person having their day in court to actually respond to the allegations, you don't know what's true or what's not. Because the same people who are going in on Jay-Z was certain that Diddy was going to get thrown under the jail for a RICO trial and all this stuff. And when the trial happened, all the stuff they were saying that would be presented in the trial wasn't presented. He beat most of it. I mean, he's got the whole little thing with transporting her and I guess doing whatever, but the major things that everyone was swearing to God that he's gonna get put under the jail for that, it didn't materialize. So that's where I think for us as consumers or as people who's just kind of taking in the various information that gets spotted online, don't jump to judgment quickly simply because people are airing their grievances against somebody they may not like for their own personal reasons. Because when somebody's dragging your name, they're dragging your name, period. It could have been that he didn't say hi to her. And now he's the worst person in the world to her. I don't know. I don't know the extent of it. And clearly this lady, she's got some personal animus here. You could tell she's very passionate about it. She's upset. I don't know. But to each his own. This is a trending topic. That's why we covered it. We try to cover the various topics that people are talking about. But, I'm off of this at this point. I mean, I try to give a little bit of both sides of the fence, what he had to say on the interview and then what some of his critics are saying about the interview. I hope I don't get a copyright strike for, reacting to this. But I definitely encourage you guys to weigh in on the conversation and, stay connected to the Intercourse Show. If you're not already a subscribed member, like and subscribe, stay connected, click the notification button so you can be notified the next time we do a video, and just, stay connected. That being said, thank you guys for joining me, and and I am signing out. Have a blessed one.